Pay attention to this because you're not being overlooked by accident. People don't just fail to respect you. They don't just undervalue you. You are teaching people every single day how to treat you without even realizing it. And the most dangerous part? It's not what you say, it's what you communicate without saying anything. Your silence, your posture, the way you react, or don't react at all. All of it builds an invisible identity, and people respond to it automatically. So let me ask you something, and answer this honestly in the comments. Do you feel like people underestimate you, even though you know you're capable of more? Because if the answer is yes, this video might completely change how you see yourself, and more importantly, how others see you. Today, you're going to understand why some people are respected without saying a word, while others explain, prove, and try harder, and still get ignored. And it has nothing to do with luck. It has everything to do with identity. Most people think respect is something you earn by speaking up, by proving yourself, by showing what you know. But that's exactly where they lose it. Because the moment you feel the need to prove your value, you're already communicating something deeper, uncertainty. And people pick up on that instantly, not consciously, but psychologically. You can say all the right things, have the right skills, even the right intentions, but if your internal state is asking for validation, your behavior will leak it in subtle ways, in your tone, in your timing, in how quickly you react, in how much you try to be understood. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you try to convince people of your worth, the less they feel it. Because real value doesn't chase recognition. It doesn't rush to be seen. It doesn't need to explain itself. It's felt. This is why two people can say the exact same thing and be perceived in completely different ways. One is heard, the other is ignored. Not because of what they said, but because of what they projected. And projection doesn't start outside. It starts with identity. If deep down you still see yourself as someone who needs approval, who needs to be accepted, who needs to be validated, then no matter how confident you try to sound, your behavior will quietly betray you. And people will respond to that version of you, not the one you're trying to present. That's why this isn't about learning what to say. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need to say much at all. There's a reason some people walk into a room and everything shifts. No announcement, no effort to impress, no need to dominate the conversation. Yet somehow people notice, not because they're louder, but because they're grounded. They don't rush to fill silence. They don't interrupt to prove a point. They don't adjust themselves to be accepted. And that creates something rare, stability. Most people are constantly reacting, trying to keep up, trying to be liked, trying to say the right thing at the right time. But the person who is truly respected isn't playing that game. They're not performing. They're observing. They're choosing when to speak and when not to. And that restraint is powerful. Because when you're not desperate to be heard, your words carry more weight. When you're not trying to impress, you become intriguing. And when you're comfortable in silence, people start paying attention. This is where most people get it wrong. They think presence is about doing more talking, more explaining, more showing. But real presence is the opposite. It's about removing the need to constantly prove yourself. It's about being so internally anchored that your energy doesn't fluctuate based on how others respond to you. Because the moment your behavior depends on external reactions, you lose control. And people can feel that. But when your state is steady, when you don't chase attention, approval, or validation, you stop being just another voice in the room. You become someone people naturally look at before you even say a word. Most people don't lose respect because of what they say. They lose it because of how they react. Watch closely and you'll notice a pattern. The moment someone feels challenged, ignored, or disrespected, they react, they defend, they explain. They try to correct how they're being perceived, and in doing that, they give away control. Because reacting is emotional, and emotional reactions are predictable. If someone can trigger you, they can influence you. And the second people realize that, your authority drops. Not loudly, not dramatically, but subtly. You become easier to read, easier to push, easier to ignore. Now compare that to someone who doesn't react immediately, someone who pauses, who observes, who doesn't feel the need to respond to everything. That kind of person is hard to figure out. And that creates something powerful. Respect mixed with uncertainty. People don't know exactly where they stand with you. They don't know what will move you. They don't know how to get a reaction out of you. And because of that, they become more careful, more attentive, more aware of your presence. This is what emotional control really looks like. Not suppression, not pretending not to feel, but choosing not to be controlled by what you feel. Because the truth is, and every time you react impulsively, you're letting the outside world decide who you are in that moment. But when you hold your reaction, even for a few seconds, you take that power back. And that changes everything. Respect is not built in moments of attention, it's built in moments no one is watching. Most people think presence is something you turn on, like a switch. You walk into a room, you adjust your posture, you speak a certain way, you try to appear confident. But that kind of presence doesn't last, because it's performance, and performance always leaks. Real presence is consistent. It doesn't depend on the situation. It shows up in the small things, in how you handle delays, in whether you keep your word, in how you treat people who can't offer you anything. These are the moments where identity is revealed. Not when it's convenient, not when it benefits you, but when there's no reward. Because that's where integrity lives, and people notice this more than you think. Not consciously at first, but over time, they start to associate you with something stable, reliable, grounded, predictable in the right way. And that builds trust. The kind of trust that doesn't need constant reassurance. This is why some people don't need to talk about who they are. You already know, not because they told you, but because they showed you, repeatedly. And here's the key. Consistency creates credibility, not intensity. You don't need to be impressive once, you need to be aligned every day. Because when your actions stop matching your words, people don't question your skills, they question your character. And once that happens, respect becomes almost impossible to recover. So the real question is not, how do I look more confident? It's, am I someone people can read as real, even in silence? Most people are not actually present. They're physically there, but mentally somewhere else. Thinking about what to say next, replaying something that already happened, worrying about how they're being perceived, and that creates a subtle disconnection. You can feel it in conversations. When someone nods but isn't really listening, when they respond but didn't truly understand, when they're waiting for their turn to speak instead of paying attention, and even if no one points it out, it weakens how they're perceived. Because presence is not about being seen, it's about being felt. When someone is fully present, you notice it instantly. They're not distracted, they're not rushing, they're not trying to control the impression they're making. They're just there. And that creates a different kind of energy, calm, focused, grounded. People feel heard around them, respected, taken seriously. And without realizing it, they start associating that feeling with you. This is where real influence begins, not by talking more, but by paying attention more. Because when you're fully present, you pick up on things others miss. Tone shifts, body language, what's being said, and what isn't. And that gives you an advantage. You respond better. You speak with more precision. You don't waste words trying to fix misunderstandings. But here's the deeper layer. When you're not present, it's usually because you're still seeking something. Approval, validation, control. Presence only happens when you're no longer trying to be accepted and start focusing on understanding. And that shift alone changes how people experience you. Most people confuse confidence with superiority. They think being respected means showing they're better, smarter, more capable than everyone else. So they interrupt, they correct, they subtly try to prove a point in every conversation. And without realizing it, they create resistance. Because no one respects someone who needs to feel above others to feel secure. That's not confidence, that's insecurity, with a better presentation. Real confidence is quieter. It doesn't need to compete. It doesn't need to win every argument. It doesn't need to be right all the time. because it's not trying to protect an image. It's grounded in something deeper, clarity. When you're truly secure in who you are, you can listen without feeling threatened. You can disagree without becoming defensive. You can admit you're wrong without feeling smaller. And that changes everything. Because people don't trust perfection. They trust authenticity. They respect someone who is solid enough to not pretend. This is where humility becomes powerful. Not as weakness, not as self-doubt, but as control over the ego. You don't need to dominate the room to be the strongest person in it. In fact, the ones who constantly try to dominate are usually the least secure. And people feel that. But the person who stays grounded, who speaks when it matters, who doesn't need to prove their worth, becomes naturally respected because there's no tension, no performance, no hidden need for approval, just presence. And that kind of energy doesn't ask for attention, it attracts it. Most people don't have a problem with ability. They have a problem with timing. They speak too early, react too fast, rush to show they understand. And in doing that, they reduce their own impact. Because when everything is immediate, nothing feels intentional. Think about it. The person who answers instantly, who jumps into every conversation, who can't tolerate a pause, doesn't feel powerful. They feel eager. And eagerness in excess often reads as neediness. Now compare that to someone who takes their time, who listens fully before responding, who allows silence to exist without trying to fill it, who chooses when to speak instead of reacting automatically. That creates weight. Because delay, when intentional, signals control. It shows that you're not being pulled by the moment, you're deciding how to engage with it. And people notice that. Not consciously at first, but they feel it. Your words land differently. Your presence feels more deliberate. Your reactions become less predictable. And unpredictability, when paired with calm, creates authority. This is why patience is not passive. It's strategic. It's knowing that not every moment requires your input. Not every silence needs to be broken. Not every situation deserves your reaction, because the more selective you are, the more valuable your presence becomes. And here's the shift most people need to make. Stop trying to be quick. Start being precise. Because speed impresses for a moment, but timing builds respect over time. Most people operate from a subtle sense of lack. They don't always notice it, but it's there. In how they compare themselves, in how they focus on what's missing, in how they feel behind, overlooked, or not enough. And that internal state shapes everything. Because when you feel like something is missing, your behavior starts trying to compensate. You talk more than necessary. You try harder to be seen. You look for signals of approval, even when no one is offering them. And people can feel that, not as a clear thought, but as an underlying energy. Tension, need, seeking. Now here's the shift. The moment you stop operating from lack, your presence changes, not because your life suddenly became perfect, but because your focus did. When you start recognizing what's already solid in your life, what you've already built, what you already bring into a room, you stop chasing validation, you stop needing constant feedback, and without that pressure, you become lighter, more grounded, more stable, more self-contained. This is where a quiet form of confidence emerges, not the loud kind, not the one that needs to be seen, but the kind that doesn't collapse when no one is watching, and that's powerful. Because people trust what feels complete. They respect those who don't seem desperate for more, attention, approval, or recognition. And the irony is, the less you need to prove your value, the more obvious it becomes. Before you say a single word, people have already decided how to treat you. Not logically, not consciously, but instinctively, through what you project, your posture, your eye contact, your stillness, or lack of it. These signals are constant. And they're always communicating something. Most people underestimate this. They focus on what to say, how to sound smarter, how to explain themselves better. But communication doesn't start with words. It starts with presence. If your body looks uncertain, if your movements are restless, if your eyes keep searching for reactions, it doesn't matter how good your words are. The message is already diluted, because people trust what they see more than what they hear. Now look at someone who is grounded. They don't move unnecessarily. They don't fidget. They don't scan the room looking for approval. They're still, attentive, deliberate, and that stillness speaks. It signals control, awareness, self-possession. Even silence in that state feels intentional. This is why some people can say very little and still command attention, because their presence is aligned. Nothing is leaking insecurity. Nothing is trying too hard. And here's the key. You don't build that externally. You don't fix your posture and suddenly become confident. The body reflects the mind. So when your internal state becomes stable, your external signals follow naturally, and that's when everything clicks. You're no longer trying to look confident, you just are, and people can tell. At the end of the day, this was never about learning how to act. It was about understanding who you are being when no one is paying attention. Because respect is not something you demand. It's something people decide to give you, based on what they feel in your presence. Not what you say, not what you show, but what you consistently project. And that projection is built in silence, in how you handle pressure, in how you respond or choose not to, in how stable you remain when nothing is going your way. That's where identity is formed. And once that identity becomes clear, you don't need to convince anyone of your value anymore. People recognize it, naturally. But here's the part most people avoid. This requires responsibility, because you can't blame how people treat you. If you're the one reinforcing that pattern every day, through hesitation, through over-explaining, through seeking approval where it was never needed, the moment you become aware of that, you also gain control over it. And that's where everything starts to shift. So now the question is simple. Which version of you are you reinforcing such without realizing it? The one that needs to be seen, or the one that is already enough, even in silence? Let me know in the comments. And if this made you see something differently, stay with me, because this is just the beginning of understanding how identity shapes everything.